Since the new Freakier Friday movie is coming out this month. But I'm not going to watch it because it's a stupid girls movie. In case some of the young people want to know what's Freakier Friday anyways, it's a sequel to this movie that came out a long time ago, back in 2003. I don't know if it came out, I don't never see it in theaters, but we did our own copy of it on videotape. Can you imagine this movie being released on videotape also? I know the actresses are old, but it's supposed to continue the timeline where the mom is the grandmother and she's the mom, of course, to a teenage daughter. It kind of makes sense. When you think of moms to teenage girls, they're mostly old ladies. It kind of makes sense, of course, like a middle-aged lady in her 40s. I know the actresses are old, but who cares? Let's pretend she's a young lady. You know, kind of like a mom that every teenager can relate to, or a grandmother that every teenager can relate to. It's not really a type of movie a boy would watch back in 2003. I never met any kids who saw Freaky Friday. I never had any friends back in those days because my education's too poor. Do you know what type of movies they have in 2003 that are really good? Let's go over some movies of 2003. Well, some of these movies are not really good. Some of these movies are not a very good sample of films I saw in that year. Some of these movies are mostly for grown-ups. I never seen Lord of the Rings before, but it looks like a very cool film a 7-year-old kid might watch. Action, adventure, and stuff like that. But I do remember Finding Nemo. It was a very popular film back in that year. Do you guys know Finding Nemo was the most popular film back in 2003? But it's a cartoon, of course. It's not a live-action film. So I'm not sure there's any boys who saw Finding Nemo back in my day. I never asked any kids who saw that movie because my education's too poor. I never gone to school. I was homeschooled by my mom. Was the movie Finding Nemo a really good movie back in that year? It is a cute story about a father looking for his son, and he teams up with this annoying bluefish to look for his son, unfortunately. Do you guys know the movie Finding Nemo had a sequel 10 years ago, which is surprising? I never expect Finding Nemo to have a sequel, but it's not as good as the last one, in my opinion. It was kind of cool how it takes place in a rehab center in California. We all get to find out where Dory really comes from. But in this movie, that's where Nemo gets kidnapped by a dentist who lives in Theater Tugboat Land. It's actually Sydney in Australia. But don't you think the city kind of looks like Theater Tugboat's hometown? When I saw Finding Nemo as a kid, I thought I was watching a Theater Tugboat episode. Do you guys know Theater Tugboat used to be one of my favorite TV shows back when I was a little kid? I never met any other kids around my age back in that time who saw Theater Tugboat. But Theater Tugboat ended a couple of years earlier. But the most popular show on TV was JG the Jet Plane. It's kind of like Theater Tugboat with airplanes. But this movie is about talking fish, not airplanes or boats. But the city kind of looks like Theater Tugboat's hometown. Don't you guys agree? But Theater Tugboat lives in Halifax, Canada, and this movie takes place in Sydney, Australia. So Halifax, Canada, and Sydney, Australia do look the same because they have skyscrapers and big harbors, of course, like that, and also big giant bridges. When you watch Finding Nemo, I've always pictured the Theater Tugboat theme song stuck in my head. Nemo, he's a tiny fish, and a tiny fish he could be. And suddenly he got kidnapped by the harbor master. His father has to look for him, which is so ridiculous. And then he teams up with this annoying bluefish. Do you guys remember Inspector Gadget 2? That used to be one of my favorite movies back in 2003. I am not joking. The movie came out on videotape, of course. So the story in this movie is where Inspector Gadget is trying to solve the case that Dr. Claw escaped out of prison and is about to cause something bad. And he teams up with this sexy robot named G2. And they have to work together to solve some crimes and fight the evil Dr. Claw and save Riverton. And save the Federal Reserve once again. It's a fun movie, though. But half the movie is pretty bad, though. The acting is bad, so is the special effects. It's a fun movie to watch if you're bored as a 7-year-old kid. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's badly made, but the filmmaking's not very good. But it is actually fun to watch. The acting's not very good, but the costume design is pretty cool for the Inspector Gadget and G2 and Dr. Claw. But some people think this movie is very accurate to the cartoon. I have never seen the cartoon. I just saw the Inspector Gadget movies because they were very popular back in the early 2000s. They're kind of like the Marvel superhero movies of the day. Don't you guys agree? Have you guys ever seen Inspector Gadget 2? Do you think this movie deserves a third movie? Of course it ends with a cliffhanger. Why does Freaky Friday need a goddamn sequel anyway? Do you guys remember this movie, Holes? It's about these kids who go to prison camp to dig up holes. You know, the bad boy prison camp. It's really interesting to see how bad boys go to prison. Don't you know this kid in this movie was in Transformers? It's kind of interesting, isn't it? I don't quite remember this movie. I thought it was kind of boring. But it's kind of cool to see how kids go to jail. But I don't remember this movie very well. I thought it's too boring. I don't want to watch a movie about a kid going to prison. Inspector Gadget 2 is about a policeman, and he fights criminals. But this movie is about a kid who goes to prison who committed bad crimes. But you can watch it on Disney Plus. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. But I don't remember this movie at all. I thought it was too boring. My dad took me to see this movie called The Core. Have you guys ever seen The Core? It's a pretty cool film, but I thought it was too boring. When I saw it in the movie theater, I was getting bored to death, but the guy's name is Edward. It's like, what is this, Thomas the Tank Engine? But this is so boring. I don't remember this movie at all. You can watch it at home, but I never seen that movie in a long time because I thought it was too boring. It's about scientists who have to stop the core from causing all sorts of bad things to planet Earth by putting nuclear bombs in the center of the Earth. That's crazy, isn't it? That's going to kill a lot of people. I don't think anybody remembers the movie Core. This is a pretty forgotten movie. Do you guys remember the Hulk movie? Oh, hell yeah, this movie's off the chain. Especially all the army vehicles and CGI and stuff like that. So the army guys are the villains and the Hulk is the hero, but he's not really a superhero. He's kind of like a guy who causes harm to people. So this guy's kind of like the anti-hero, but it's kind of cool to see army men in it because in that time, I loved G.I. Joe action figures, and this is definitely a cool G.I. Joe movie I saw on the videotape back in that year. I've watched this movie about 5 times, and the Hulk movie is off the chain. Even though there's too many talking scenes, but the action scenes in the Army Men are off the chain. It's definitely a good film for a serial kid to watch. I do remember all the toys they used to sell at stores, and this movie is off the chain. This is a pretty good movie. It's funny, though. It's a lot of fun to watch, but it's a little bit kind of annoying and stupid, though. The cat in hat looks really creepy, and Mike Myers plays him. You know, the guy who plays the bad guy, Austin Powers. Also, Shrek. I don't know these movies, but they're super movies. Not my movies. They're the other kids' movies. But I think this movie's kind of okay, but it has good special effects, but it's a little bit kind of annoying. The Hulk movie's a lot more better than this movie, but it has really cool set design. And really good performances by Alec Baldwin and the kids and the mom. But the cat in hat's, but Mike Myers is okay. But he's a little bit kind of annoying. And also scary too. Do you guys remember Spy Kids 3? That used to be one of my favorite movies of all time back when I was 7 years old. It is a really cool video game adventure, but I don't like the part how he has to rescue the sibling. A sibling storyline is a bunch of horse crap, but the adventure is kind of cool. I like the special effects, but it's a very stupid, badly made movie. But it's kind of fun to watch because it makes you feel like you're playing a video game, because I do like video games back in that year. Plus, this movie did introduce me to video games because in 2004, I became interested in video games, but we never bought any consoles because video game consoles are very expensive. So anyway, guys, that's all I talk about 2003. That's all I can remember, all the movies. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Which were the best movies in that year? I would say The Hulk, Inspector Gadget 2, and Finding Nemo. My personal favorite is The Hulk. This is a bad boy movie. This movie is really bad. Why does he attack policemen? Why does his boy attack policemen? Why do I call this a boy? Why do I call this boy? That's because he uses swords and weapons. Girls don't even carry guns and swords. This boy needs to go to military school. This boy needs to go to military school. I hate this piece of crap movie. I hate this piece of crap movie. So that's all the movies I can think of back in that year. What was your favorite movie in 2003? Comment below.